Hey everyone, welcome back to Barter Hordes. My name is Robert. Happy Friday. Spring has hit with a vengeance here in North Carolina. This week has been absolutely stunning. We've been in the mid-70s with nice sunshine every single day this week, so I'm sure we're still going to get some bounce back cooler weather before we hit full spring and summer, but it has definitely felt nice to see the sun and be warm outside. I actually even did one of my bike rides outside this week instead of just on my spin bike, and it really is nice to be back outside again. I have a series of short announcements before we talk about the books that I actually read this last week, and so let me get those out of the way. The first is I have 3 books I want to give away. They're all fairly chunky, and so I might have to buy some special mailers for these. But they're books that I have on my shelves from past years' BookTube prize submissions that didn't make the field, and I'm never going to get around to reading these. And so I want to put them in the hands of other people who are interested in the 3 titles. And so if you're interested in winning one of these books, or interested in all 3 of these books, you need to post a comment below letting me know which one or ones you're interested in, and then I'll do a draw. Let's say I'll do a draw next Thursday, and so I can announce the winners on next week's Friday reads. So make sure that you comment by next Thursday. The first one is a book called Essays 1 by Lydia Davis. And if you want to just call it Essays in the comments, that's fine with me. Lydia Davis is known for her fiction, short stories, and so on, but this is a collection of essays that she's done. It's actually the first of a 2-part collection that covers some 50 years worth of her essays. So if you're interested in those, just call it Essays is fine by me. The second one is Becoming Superman by J. Michael Straczynski. This has a really long subtitle that tells you a little bit more about the book, and so I'll put a picture of the dust jacket up there and you can read the long subtitle. But if you're interested in this one, you can just refer to it as Superman. And then the third one, for you history and biography buffs, this is the authorized massive biography of Margaret Thatcher, Herself Alone, by Charles Moore. And this is being acclaimed as the definitive biography of Britain's first female prime minister. So if you're interested in that one, you can just refer to it as Thatcher. So if you're interested in one or all of those, let me know in the comments. If you win one, I'll take you out of the drawings for the other ones, so we spread the joy around. I do need to say that this needs to be U.S. only, though, because the postage, if you leave the United States for books, is really expensive. So I'm going to limit this to the U.S. But other than that, let me know if you're interested in the comments below, and I'll put you in the drawings. And next week, I'll let you know who won. There's also a giveaway on my Instagram account this week that's going to close Saturday afternoon. So if you're interested in this one, you need to go to my Instagram account, which is linked below, and follow the rules there. This one is for Semicolon, The Past, Present, and Future of a Misunderstood Mark by Cecilia Watson. So that one is open for another day or so. So go on to Instagram and enter for that one there. And that will kind of end my first stack of books that I have taken off of my shelves to make room for some new ones that are coming in. Another announcement is, if you followed my channel for any length of time, you know that I'm a big soccer fan too. I love following the English Premier League. I'm a Newcastle United fan, which means I'm a long-suffering fan. This year they are barely 1 point outside of the relegation zone with about 10 games to go, 9 games to go, and if they don't get their act together, they could very well get relegated again. They have been up and down for the last decade. I think this would be their 3rd relegation if they go down again this year. But if you're interested in soccer, and I'm amazed at how many book readers also follow soccer, We are starting a Pickum game run through ESPN, the sports website. This year, it's obviously late in the season, so we're just kind of getting the group together. But then next year, we'll actually hold a contest with some kind of a prize. So far, we have 3 or 4 people I've talked to about it already who are in. And so if we can get 7 or 10 people in this group for next year, it'll be a lot of fun. All you do is each week you go on and you pick who's going to win, or if there's going to be a draw or something like that, and you get points based on how many predictions you get correct that week. And so if you're interested in Books and the Beautiful Game, which is what I'm calling the group, send me an email. My email is listed below. You'll have to figure out how to remove the words and put in the appropriate symbols. But other than that, send me an email and I will forward you the link to join the ESPN group. And I'll also add you or invite you to the Voxer chat room that we're going to use as the trash talking room. So that's going on too, and I'd like to get that filled up with people before the end of this season, so when we start next year, I don't have to go hunting for new players. The next thing that I'd like to announce is my Barter Hordes Backlist Book Club. We just chose our title for April. This month's title, March's title, is a very brief novel by Jamaica Kincaid called Annie John. If you still want to join us for this month's discussion, there's plenty of time to read this book because it's only about 140 pages long. We start discussions, we read for the first 3 weeks of every month, and then we start discussions on the 22nd of each month. And the discussion lasts a couple of days or however long it lasts until the end of the month. The April selection is Ann Tyler's Dinner at the Homesick restaurant. So if you're interested in joining us for either of those, you just have to send me a message on Voxer, and that's to my same account name, Barter Hordes, or you can actually just search for me by name there, Robert Sheard, and I will add you to that discussion group. The discussion group isn't one where everybody commits to reading every book. Some people drop in and out depending on what their schedules are like or the books that we choose that month. But each month we vote on the following month's choice. You have 5 books to pick from, and then you put them in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and whichever book gets the best cumulative votes, that's what we'll read that month. Okay, I think that covers all the announcements. Let's talk about the 2 books I finished. I mentioned both of these to you last week. The first one I finished is a 2020 novel by Susie Yang called White Ivy. It is one of the octafinalists in this year's BookTube Prize competition. This is a story about a young woman who she's born in China, and as a very young child, her parents leave her in China with her grandmother for a couple of years while they get established in the United States. Then they bring Ivy to the United States, where she now has a younger brother, and then they bring the grandmother as well. So it's 3 generations of one family that are together. And then it follows Ivy through her path into becoming, an adult. But Ivy rebels at every stage. She doesn't follow anything that her parents want for her, the traditional path for Chinese immigrant children who are all supposed to become lawyers or doctors, her parents tell her. And she rebels at every stage. And it's a really interesting book. It's got a murder mystery kind of feel to it. There's a lot of little suspense things going on, a lot of twists. One of the things that I didn't like, and I like this book overall. I think I rated it 3.5 or 4 stars on Goodreads. I liked it overall, but a couple things bothered me. The first thing that bothered me is that every single character in the book is an extreme example of a type of character. There's no one that's just an average, normal character to act as a foil to all these extreme characters. Everybody in Ivy's family, everybody in her boyfriend's family, everybody that she lives with as roommates or hangs out with, they're all extreme character types. And I just found that a little bit unbelievable by the end of the book. There were just too many of them. The other thing that I was surprised about is that I am notoriously, and you can ask Mel of Mel's Bookland Adventures about this, I'm notoriously bad at predicting plot twists in K dramas and books. I am the perfect reader for these kinds of books because I can be suckered by any fake out that the author puts in a book. But I was able to predict almost all the big twists in this book. So either I've gotten really smart, which is unlikely at my age, or this one was just a little bit too predictable. But it's a debut novel, and I'm perfectly willing to look forward to the next thing that Susie Yang puts out there. I will read it too. With those two caveats, I thought it was a very entertaining, very interesting read. You're not going to like Ivy as a character, I don't think. She's a pretty despicable person, but at the same time, she's interesting to read about. So that was the first one I finished. The other one I finished is the 15th book in Louise Penny's Chief Inspector Gamache series, and this one's called A Better Man. I'm not going to go into any plot descriptions of these books because this is way into the series. So if you don't know about the series, you need to start at the beginning because this is a series that rewards you for reading them in order. The same group of characters recurs throughout her books. The residents of this tiny village south of Montreal called Three Pines. And so it's one of those things where you get to know the characters over the course of all the books and they become like members of your circle and you love or hate them based on their personalities, but you get to know them very well. I will say this. The funniest thing, no, I don't even want to say that because it's going to get into too much plot. So there were some things that always make me laugh in her books. I love this series. She has the 16th one is already out in hardback. It comes out this summer in paperback, which I've already pre-ordered. And then the 17th one is supposed to come out in the fall. And so she's still writing this series, but I've caught up to her now. And so that's going to be hard to wait impatiently for the next one in the series to come out. Anyway, I loved it. It was great. There's only been one of the series that I didn't think was wonderful. It just seemed like one of the characters changed personalities in one book. But other than that one, I've really enjoyed the rest of the series, and I recommend it to everybody. I'm not a huge mystery reader. Louise Penny is basically the only mystery writer that I read right now. So when I finish her series, I've got a few more that I want to try to take her place, but it's going to be tough. Okay, what am I reading now? I am reading two books right now. One of which I will probably finish this weekend. It is nonfiction. It's called After the Last Border by Jessica Goudeau. It is following two women who, with their families, become refugees. One family comes from Myanmar, and they go to a refugee settlement camp in Thailand, and then ultimately end up in Austin, Texas. And then the other woman and her family are from Syria. And as the civil war breaks out there, they escape first to Jordan, and then they also end up in Austin, Texas. So it's following both their journey that led them to flee their home countries, and also the process and the problems and the overwhelming anxieties that they go through as they become refugees in a country like the United States, which doesn't exactly help them a whole lot. It kind of throws them to the wolves in a system that they don't understand, and often in a language that they don't understand. It's really heart-wrenching to read how painful this transition is for these families. It's very well written. I'll tell you more about it. I'm only about halfway through, but I think I'll probably finish it this weekend. And the other one that I'm reading is my March of the Mammoths entry this year. If you don't know what March of the Mammoths is, it's a reading challenge every year, co-hosted by Jason of Old Blues Chapter and Verse. Is that the right title? I think so. Lukash, and also Alex of Big Al Books. And I've linked all their channels up above, so you can go to their channels and find out more about it. But basically, you commit to reading, or at least starting to read, a book that's at least 800 pages long in the month of March. And I picked this year one of the books from my 70 by 70 bucket list, which was Victor Hugo's Les Misérables, which I've never read and I've never seen. I mentioned last time that I've never seen the musical, either movie version or stage version, but I know a little bit about it, and I'm really enjoying it. There are some passages that drag because he gets into so much of the history and cultural context, which would have been relevant at the time, but loses some of that in time and translation to an American reader like me in the 21st century. For instance, there's an entire 50-page section on the Battle of Waterloo, and it is detailed, and it's all there to basically get to the last two sentences of that section. You could have cut right to the chase and I'd have been fine, but it's still fascinating to read. I'm loving this. I'm reading just enough each day that I'll probably finish it in the month of March. But I'm so glad I chose it. It's been wonderful so far, and every evening I look forward to my pages that day. So that's what I'm reading. In terms of K-dramas, I am still watching the Uncanny Counter with our K-drama appreciation group. We just passed the halfway point in this one, so I'll probably be finishing it about time for next week's Friday Reads video and can tell you more details about it, but it's a really good one. Just a really quick synopsis. It is about a group of 4 people who have been brought together to become counters. That's a kind of a combination Grim Reaper and evil spirit hunters. And the main character is a teenage boy, a high school boy, who has been recruited to join them when they lose one of their quartet. It's got humor, it's got a lot of suspense, it's got a lot of violence, it's got some creepy supernatural stuff, but overall it's been really, really good. I love the cast. They are just perfect. The cast is so well chosen. So that's called the Uncanny Counter. Okay, I think that's everything. Oh, cycling. Just an update on my 2 virtual rides. I'm doing one called Canyon to the Coast, which goes from Bryce Canyon, Utah to Laguna Beach, California. It's a 600-mile virtual challenge. I'm about a quarter of the way through. I just left Utah and I'm cutting across a corner of Arizona before I get into Nevada. So I'm in Arizona right now on that one. And then my other much longer term one is the Route 66 or Route 66 virtual challenge. And on that one, I am 32, 33, almost a third of the way there. I am in Oklahoma. I just went through Tulsa, Oklahoma a day or two ago, and I'm about 75 miles outside of Oklahoma City on my way from Chicago down to Santa Monica, Los Angeles. That one's about a 2,280 mile total, and I'll probably be doing that for several more months, but I'm thoroughly enjoying doing both of these challenges. So that's what I'm up to. I hope you're having a great week. I am looking forward to vaccination appointments. My group just got moved up on the calendar and I become eligible to start looking for appointments on Wednesday. So on Wednesday morning, I'll be on the website clicking refresh like crazy until I can actually get an appointment for my first shot. I hope you're doing well, hope you're safe, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye, everybody.